In section 1.5, we are going to be talking about something called least common multiple. And just like with greatest common factor and how we shorten that to GCF, we have an abbreviation we use for least common multiple, which is LCM. So if you hear us saying LCM, we are talking about least common multiple. And up until now, we spent a lot of time talking about factors, but now we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about multiples. So let's take a second to write down a definition or what we'll use to describe multiples in class. So multiples are the products of a number. And again, we need to remember then that products mean the answer to a multiplication question. So we know anytime we see product, we're dealing with multiplication. And so one of the major differences between factors and multiples, because we sometimes did feel like we were multiplying with factors, but with factors we were multiplying two numbers to equal another number. With multiples, we're actually thinking about all the numbers that come out of a number if we were to multiply it by another number. So for instance, if I just give a quick example here, if I just take the number 8 and I were trying to find all the multiples of 8, then I would start with the first one, which if I were to multiply 8 by 1, it would just be 8. So the very first multiple will always be the number itself. But then I could go down the list and say, well, if I multiplied 8 by 2, I would get 16, so that's a multiple. If I were to multiply 8 by 3, I would get 24, that's a multiple. And then the thing about multiples is I'm just going to put ... to mean that they will go on pretty much forever, because I could multiply that number by any whole number in the world and come up with another multiple. So multiples can get big pretty quickly. For example 1, we're going to start looking at finding the LCM using lists. And again, kind of like greatest common factor, there are two separate ways, or multiple separate ways, I should say, of finding LCM. And so you'll just want to keep them separate. You're going to want to know what the different strategies are, but know that there are some differences between them, and kind of learn to use the strategy that works best for you, or the strategy that works best in that situation. So again, this first time we're going to be focusing on finding the LCM using lists. Okay. So if the direction says to find the LCM of the numbers 4 and 6, then what we would do is we would start listing all of the multiples of each of those numbers. And what we're going to be looking for is, again, because it's least, we're going to be looking for the smallest, and then common, of course, the thing that they share, and then multiples. So let's start with the multiples of 4 first. And I will say sometimes it's actually easier to start with the bigger number, because you can do less of them, but it's really going to be the same thing. So since we go back to what I said up here, which is that multiples can literally go on forever, we're going to start with maybe the first 4 or 5 multiples. Then we'll pause and we'll do the other numbers list of multiples, and then we'll decide if we need to do any more. So multiples of 4 would be, the first couple of them would be 4, because again, 4 times 1 is 4, 8, 12, it's really skip counting if you think about it, 16, 20, and it could go on if we need to, so I'm just going to pause there. And then I'm going to start listing my multiples of 6 and see if we find any in common. So multiples of 6, I would have 6 times 1, which is 6, 12, and even though I could keep going here, and I could have kept going here, I'm going to stop right there, because hopefully you noticed or caught it that I have the number 12 on the multiples of 4 list, and I just hit the number 12 on the multiples of 6 list. And since I'm going for the least, or the smallest one, this is the first one, or the smallest number, that they both have in common. So we would say the LCM of 4 and 6 is 12. why don't you do a try it problem at this point? So you try to find the least common multiple of, let's do 9 and 12. And again, you are going to do it just like I did up there. You can go only as long as you need. So again, maybe start with a couple and then go to the other number, find the first couple multiples of that. If you don't see one in common yet, then you just go to either list and start going a little farther out, a couple numbers at a time, until you find the first one. So I am going to pause for a second or freeze my screen. You go ahead and take a second to pause the video, come up with your answer, and then as soon as you think you have your answer, you may play it again and see if our answers match. And I'm going to go ahead and show you where I'm at so far. So I've listed the first few multiples of 9. So I came up with 9, 18, 27, 36. Again, I'm skip counting my 9s here. And then I'm going to do multiples of 12, 12, 24, 36. Again, skip counting, but I'm going to stop right there because I can see that I've got a 36 on this list and a 36 on this list. So the LCM of 9 and 12 is 36. That means that's the first number that 9 and 12 have in common.